Japanese minimalism saved me from burnout. Here's how. Ever feel like you're drowning in your own life? Like you're constantly busy but never actually getting anywhere? What if we told you that doing less could actually help you achieve more? The problem we all face. Let's be honest here. Burnout isn't just a buzzword anymore. It's become our reality. We're living in a world where being busy has somehow become a badge of honor. We wake up, check our phones immediately, rush through breakfast while scrolling through emails, and then spend the entire day jumping from one task to another without taking a real breath. Recent studies show that over 76% of employees report experiencing workplace burnout, and it's not just affecting our jobs. It's seeping into every corner of our lives. We're exhausted, overwhelmed, and constantly feeling like we're falling behind. Sound familiar? Well, we've been there too. And that's exactly why we started looking for solutions that actually work. The thing is, most of the advice out there tells us to do more. More self-care routines, more productivity hacks, more apps to manage our already complicated lives. But what if the answer isn't adding more to our plates? What if it's about taking things away instead? Discovering Japanese minimalism. That's where Japanese minimalism comes in. And trust us, it's not what you might think. When most people hear minimalism, they picture those stark white rooms with nothing but a single chair and maybe a plant. But Japanese minimalism is so much deeper than that aesthetic we see on Instagram. Japanese minimalism, or what they call ma in Japanese culture, is about creating space, not just physical space, but mental and emotional space too. It's rooted in centuries of Japanese philosophy that understands something we've forgotten in our rush to have it all. That emptiness isn't something to be filled, it's something to be appreciated. The Japanese have this beautiful concept called wabi-sabi, which finds beauty in imperfection and impermanence. Instead of constantly trying to fix, improve, or acquire more, they embrace what they have and find peace in simplicity. This isn't about depriving yourself, it's about being intentional with what you choose to keep in your life. We discovered this approach when we were at our lowest point, completely burned out and feeling like we were running on an endless hamster wheel. Traditional productivity advice wasn't working. Self-care felt like another item on our to-do list. That's when we stumbled upon these Japanese principles. And honestly, they changed everything. The mental shift that changes everything. Here's what we learned. The biggest change isn't about what you remove from your space. It's about what happens in your mind when you start living this way. Japanese minimalism teaches us to distinguish between what we need and what we think we need. And trust us, that gap is bigger than you might imagine. In Japanese culture, there's this practice called denshari. It breaks down into 3 parts. Refuse what you don't need, dispose of what you don't use, and separate yourself from the attachment to things. But here's the beautiful part. This doesn't just apply to physical objects. It applies to commitments, relationships, digital clutter, and even thoughts that don't serve us. When we started practicing this mindset, something incredible happened. Instead of feeling deprived, we felt liberated. Every morning became clearer because we weren't overwhelmed by choices. Our minds felt quieter because we weren't constantly managing so much stuff, both physical and mental. The research backs this up too. Studies from UCLA found that people living in cluttered homes had higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, throughout the day. But when we clear our spaces using Japanese principles, we're not just organizing our homes, we're actually rewiring our brains for calm and focus. This mental shift is gradual but profound. You start noticing how much energy you were spending on things that didn't really matter. You begin to understand the difference between being busy and being productive. Most importantly, you start to see that having less can actually give you more of what you truly want: peace, clarity, and genuine contentment. Practical steps we took. Now let's talk about how we actually applied these principles, because theory is great, but real change happens in the doing. We didn't transform our lives overnight. That would go against everything Japanese minimalism teaches us about patience and gradual progress. We started with what the Japanese call one in, one out. Every time something new came into our space, something else had to leave. This simple rule helped us become more conscious about what we were bringing into our lives. Before buying anything, we'd pause and ask ourselves, Do we really need this, or do we just want it? That pause made all the difference. Then we moved on to our digital lives. We realized that our phones and computers were just as cluttered as our physical spaces. We unsubscribed from email lists that didn't add value, unfollowed social media accounts that made us feel inadequate, and deleted apps we never used. The Japanese principle of mono no aware, the bittersweet awareness of the impermanence of things, helped us let go of digital clutter without feeling like we were missing out. Our living spaces came next. Instead of trying to Marie Kondo everything in one weekend, we took it room by room, following the Japanese approach of gentle, consistent progress. We kept only items that served a purpose or brought us genuine joy. But here's what surprised us. We didn't miss the things we removed. Instead, we felt lighter and more at peace in our simplified spaces. The biggest change came when we applied these principles to our schedules and commitments. We started saying no to activities that drained our energy, even if they seemed important to others. We created buffer time between appointments, following the Japanese concept of ikigai, focusing only on what brings purpose and meaning to our lives. The unexpected benefits. What happened next honestly surprised us. We expected to feel more organized, but the benefits went beyond that. Our sleep improved because our minds weren't racing through endless to-do lists and cluttered thoughts. We found ourselves more present in conversations because we weren't distracted by the overwhelming environment around us. Our creativity actually increased. When you're not constantly managing stuff and commitments, your brain has more space for original thinking and problem solving. We started noticing details we'd missed before, the way light comes through our windows, the taste of our morning coffee, the sound of rain on the roof. These small moments became sources of genuine happiness. Financially, things improved too. When you're intentional about what you bring into your life, you naturally spend less on impulse purchases. We found ourselves investing in fewer, higher quality items that lasted longer and brought more satisfaction. The Japanese principle of motenai, regret over waste, helped us appreciate what we already had instead of constantly wanting more. But perhaps the most significant change was in our relationships. When we weren't stressed about managing so much stuff and so many commitments, we had more energy for the people that mattered most. Our conversations became deeper, our time together more meaningful. We learned that Japanese minimalism isn't about isolation. It's about creating space for what truly matters. The burnout that had been following us around like a dark cloud started to lift. We weren't magically free from all stress. Life still had its challenges, but we had a different relationship with pressure and overwhelm. We had tools and principles that helped us navigate difficult times without getting completely swept away. Making it your own. Here's the thing about Japanese minimalism. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and that's actually part of its beauty. The Japanese understanding of balance recognizes that what works for one person might not work for another. Your version of minimalism might look completely different from ours, and that's perfectly okay. The key is to start small and stay consistent. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one weekend. In fact, that goes against the gentle, patient approach that makes Japanese minimalism so sustainable. Pick one area, maybe your bedroom or your email inbox, and apply these principles there first. Remember, this isn't about achieving some perfect minimalist aesthetic that looks good on social media. It's about creating a life that feels good to live. Some days you might need more things around you, other days less. The Japanese concept of flexibility within structure helps us adapt these principles to our real, messy, beautiful lives. What matters most is developing that awareness we talked about earlier. The ability to pause and ask yourself whether something adds value to your life or just adds noise. Over time, this becomes second nature, and you'll find yourself naturally gravitating towards choices that support your well-being rather than complicate it. Japanese minimalism saved us from burnout not because it eliminated all stress from our lives, but because it gave us the tools to handle stress differently. It taught us that we have more control over our environment and our responses than we realized. And honestly, that realization alone was worth the entire journey. Your journey starts now. So where do you go from here? The beautiful thing about Japanese minimalism is that your journey can start right now, right where you are. You don't need special equipment or expensive courses. You just need the willingness to look at your life with fresh eyes and the courage to let go of what no longer serves you. Take a moment today to notice one thing in your immediate environment that feels like clutter, physical, digital, or mental. It might be that pile of papers on your desk, the apps you never use on your phone, or even a commitment you've been dreading. Choose just one thing and let it go. The path out of burnout isn't always about adding more to your life. Sometimes it's about subtracting what doesn't belong. Japanese minimalism taught us that lesson, and we hope it can do the same for you. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to live lives that feel spacious, intentional, and genuinely fulfilling. What will you choose to let go of first? We'd love to hear about your journey in the comments below.